Welcome back, my friends, to the video podcast that never ends. Come inside, come inside. In this room, you see a depressive man. Come inside, come inside. See his own crying eyes. And then probably eventually you're going to see some Gypsy Queen do some shit with Vaseline. So, yeah. I had an idea a week ago. Watching video on the Luna, it's really popped me. It really spoke to me. And, well, late August next month is 20 years since I met the person who thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. How wrong one I was. But, yeah, I just realized, it's going to be 20 years since I mentioned this person. Yeah. I think it's a little more. Anyways. Comes a lot since March was, not March, May was the 20th, it was the 20th year I graduated high school. Even today I made a comment that oh crap, I lost a decade. When you have a case of limerence, time flies when you're crying your eyes out, lusting. Trying not to get too bogged down in details. Also, what really popped tonight that I was kind of listening to Old Fortune or something. This is opera, not opera, but it's I guess kind of opera. I guess whoever. But anyways, I listened to the song many times. It's on Ozzy Osbourne's, and it's on the live album with him and Randy Rhoads. It's on the Randy Rhoads tribute, and it's on the Blizzard of Oz, or one of the early tours, one of the first, second tours. Anyways, listen to this, and I had Total Recall. Case of Total Recall. So, listen to it. It's, I guess I can play a snippet. So, I'm just sitting there on the couch. I'm watching the South Park. It's the episode where everybody gets high on cats. And about this part of the song, it fucking dawned on me. The words music appreciation actually come in my mind. I flash back thinking, oh shit, the time that this girl, she goes, yeah, I was taking music appreciation last semester, and I thought it was going to be awesome, Poison and stuff like that. It's like, at the time, 20 years ago, what? Somebody knows what poison is? The band. But it's like, oh my god. And what I apparent glimmer is a word that it's like kind of your first high, so to speak. And well, all right. Well, I was interrupted. Boy, I really wish I could edit this part out and go back again, but I can't. So, I guess lost my train of thought. So, last I can remember what we're talking about. So, this person really should give this person a name. Call her. Oh, Anne. Let's call her Anne. So Anne says she was in music appreciation last semester at school. Oh my god. She name drop Poison. Oh my god. Glimmer. That's where I was going to until I was interrupted. So, Glimmer talks. The idea of Glimmer is your first instance of falling in love, kind of that first hit of adrenaline rush, similar of taking your first drink, your first vice. So, actually, after I heard that, it is amazing how you can have total recall like that some days. And actually, in the past week, tried to figure out when the first instance of Glimmer happened for me. Maybe it. That's the thing, I don't know. It probably happened a couple months later. Because it was a Friday night playing video games, of course. Nothing really much changed in 20 years, huh? I remember vividly was playing St. Louis at Indianapolis, and she was calling me. Why did she call me? I don't know. She had a boyfriend at the time, of course, because type of girl that always needs a boyfriend, apparently. Well, apparently in a short window that's coming up. So she was crying on the phone, going, "Why are men jerks?" Of course, I don't know. What do you want from me? Yada yada yada. She's crying. She's trying, but that's weird. She just called me. Almost 20 years later, she called me like that. I don't know. Maybe that was that first instance of hey, maybe she actually really does like me. I don't know. I really didn't feel the same way until few weeks later when I was doing this other project, and sitting around, it's like, yeah, I'm head over heels and for this girl. So, and Scotch was kind of nice one time, as because we were in the same class, and this, you know, college semester's class is like 4 months, so we were 5 days a week, close together. Plus, we're studying. You know, hindsight always 2020. You know, you mix emotions, stuff like that. You know, but yeah, for a couple months, we're every we literally sat next to each other. She just started talking to me out of the blue. I was like, okay. I mean, I think the first question she asked me, did you do the homework last night? How was the homework last night? Stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, is this? Yeah, here, And then she goes, hey, you just want to study up, be buddy, I was like, at that time, I was like, God, I could really be. I don't know why I said yes. I was like, sure, what the hell? Are you doing anything later? Sure, what the hell? And we planned our first study meeting at Barnes & Nobles. And we were scheduled to meet at a certain time, and she flaked out. This would become a very regular thing for her. Of course, she was working at the shoe show as a waitress, so yada. And she lived in another county at the time. And I won't say a lot, so suck it up. The real nice parts was actually mingling, being 20 years old, mingling with a girl, and I remember vividly one time at Barnes & Nobles, we were studying, and she was like, go just pick something out and go read. It's like, well, just not going, okay. I walked around, I think she picked up like Cosmopolitan or something like that. Yeah. And I think maybe it was the same time she goes, hey, just go cross street and at this buffet, just eat. We ate and talked. Yeah. I don't really consider that. It was like the first time having dinner with someone who wasn't a member of my family. It was like, it was awesome. It was a really great experience. We had good chat that day. Then, hey, I'll see you in class, or, yeah. But, we do this regularly, see her 5 days a week, Just got really close, walked her across the quad, Kind of garbage you see on those trashy Hallmark movies. And, yeah. Um, and eventually, I remember one day, very close to the end, maybe it was the last study period. we we met up. Um, we met up in a library. I remember telling her this is a funny article. Make her laugh. Yeah. I remember her article well, but I'm not going to repeat it here. Um, but yeah, we passed the course, and eventually it was like on a hey, let's take more classes together or something like that. It was like, well, kind of, worked our classes out together ahead of time, but it's just whatever. But every once in a while, and I got stuff. I guess this is the real part. I just fell into the honey trap, so to speak. This not really thinking about her, but one time I ran into her, like, hey, in between classes. I left the note on a car. I left the note on a car. It was really stupid. This I left a note on a car, and she had to pull over to get it. I was like, "What the hell did you do?" But around this time I was doing this other project. I remember vividly driving her into another. It was one of those. I had to go take her to another town. Car once or some other car. Our car. I was like, yeah. At the time, I had a real sweet Bronco too, and I, drove. It was like kind of my first time driving outside the county, and by myself, and it was unique because I've never been. Maybe I've been to the place once or on the way there, but it was like, yeah, okay, so did that, and this one other time I was doing this project at the radio station, and I was on the air. It was my dream job. I was going to try to do. So let's say that if anybody remembers this little Nokia phones, they were like, yeah, they were small. They were really small. But the one thing about those is that you could always hear when somebody was calling into your phone. So, because it would go beep, 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 and just ring. And it was just her cell. It was like, I heard you on the radio, yeah. Yeah. But, there was awesome time. But when I didn't get the radio station job, it was kind of like, it was a few months later. I know I'm jumping around the timeline, but I guess at this point in my life, it doesn't really matter. I've told the story so many times. But a few months later, I actually had to get a real job. Told her, hey, I got a job. Oh, at the radio station? Nope. She goes, oh, it's like, in hindsight, when I was think that was a red flag. That was a red flag that I heard. I acknowledged it. Did not heed warning. By the way, the one place I actually eventually, it was at a country club, and actually, I guess one of her relatives or something actually lived out there at the time. Yeah, but yeah, but so eventually, she goes, "Hey, this one band I like, they're coming to town. In fact, the building's literally up the street." He goes, "Hey, how about we get you tickets? We go there." It's like rockstar, awesome. In fact, I was on. Actually, had the anniversary. Actually, sidetracked a little. But yeah, sidetracked. But so got the tickets. I was second person there. Get the tickets. I drove up, and her parents were away, and we had like a little nice time in a swing. Set. She was smoking. She was either smoking a cigarette or smoking a cigar. It was one of the two. I can't remember, but she was a smoker. She is a smoker, which maybe hopefully she quit because that would just brutal her skin. And it was actually kind of nice. We were just on a swing, yada yada. Of course, she got ready. I was watching TV. I remember the exact Star Trek episode I was watching on TNN. The Manhunter episode. She got dressed and looked dynamite. And yeah. And so we had time. So she had to run errands. So I took her across town to do this errand, and she goes, "You want to go to the shoe show?" I was like, "Okay." I had some few bucks on me, so we went to the shoe show where she used to work. And that was the first time I was at the shoe show. And, we stayed there for a while, then went to the concert, had an amazing time. My best friend just got engaged, about to get married. She was showing off the ring. She goes, "Let's take with Joe, he's going to places." He's going places, alright. Of course, afterwards, we had dinner at Steak and Shake. Drove her back. It was a nice night. The one thing I immediately regret after driving her up to her parents' house was not walking to the door. Who knows what would happen? Maybe she could give me a good night kiss. Thanks for the party. Thanks for the night. It was a lovely time. Or it could have been, who knows? Maybe in the alternate time, in the idea of the multiverse, who knows what would have happened? But no, trust me, I was kicking myself on I-55 going north, and I was like, "You're stupid." So, but then again, who knows? How probably would have done something I would totally regret for years. I'm talking about how bad kid. So, not really much happened with her. Did school, was working, went to another concert, and the one photo we have of each other, I remember very well taken because I wanted one photo of her and I, of Anne and I, and for the longest time it was my profile on MySpace, Facebook. After a while, the friend just goes, please stop with this picture. Just don't. But every once in a while, and that's the one thing about Facebook, memories. Everything pops up, maybe not. I didn't get Facebook till 2010, so hang in there. And eventually I got a degree welding, and still all this time I earned for her. I had lonely nights. I had lonely nights. I had nights of like 21 ends doing. Didn't want to be home with everything that was going on at the time. And it's like drinking hell over and nothing. Prelude to the concert, I remember she called Cry Me, of course. The boyfriend, he was out with friends and she wasn't invited. One of those things. I told her, hey, it's gonna be okay, yada yada yada, whatever. Before I get too far along, while we're, the day of the concert, we're sitting there in the swing, kind of talking. Told her I actually ran into our math teacher at a defunct buffet in town. She goes, yeah, she must have hated us because we talked. I was like, yeah. But, for then, but years and years after the concert, it was like, of course, there was a minor falling out. I got mad at her at once. I got mad at her yelled at her one time, and didn't talk to her for like years. Didn't see her for years. I moved away, came back. We had June of 2011. We had like a nice afternoon together. Had pizza. Went to the park. While we have a pizza, it's like, hey, so and so thought we moved back because she thought we were gonna get together. Her eyes got really big, like saucers, and I was like, come on, can you believe that shit? Of course, at this time I was a full blown Anahawk, and there was some nights when I was away that I was like, this sucks. Text her, be like, hey, I'm coming down, let's meet up. Never happened. I guess that's the flakiness of her personality. But, sorry, just checking things. It was supposed to be more entertaining, but, I guess for not. But, like I said, 2011, moved back. A couple months later, we actually got together, had this really nice afternoon. It's the last time I got to hang out with her. And I was like, trying to get, all this time I had a really junky car. Bronco was my favorite, but it still was junk. It had no cruise control, no AC. It was the first car, and it was more of a town car in a way. But I also think then again, I hate to say it, but mother wasn't really too appreciative of her, so. But months later, I found out she moved. She moved about 20 minutes outside where I moved from. I was there 10 months before. I was there. I told this to one of my writing professors. She goes, "That's a cruel twist of faith." Of course it is. It's me. Nothing goes right. Nothing goes right in a way, but this is bad. And it's like, then is when the major depression really happened. It's the one thing about social media. We're finding out that it's hard when you post happy pictures with no new boyfriend that you moved in with. It sucked. It has no comparison how much I was so torn up. She moved one thing. It was one thing she moved so close where I was. I was there. I had my own place at the time. It was a really nice place, but she met some guy. And apparently, well, he doesn't live with his parents. He has his own place. He has a good job. And for a long time, I was like, okay, this is called fizzle out in a couple months. Give a year. Give it 2 years. It's going to fizzle out. So one thing, again, Joe was wrong again. They're two. As far as I know, they're still together. Spoiler alert. But I was like, okay, well, hell. In the meantime, let's do some online dating. Well, apparently that's how they met, and yeah. So hey, I figured, the guy's he's a ugly Quasimodo looking guy. I can get somebody. I'm a handsome man. My mom says I am. So I made a match profile, and I paid them money. I think I spent a good $400 or $500 on Match.com at the time, early in 2010s. They had a saying it was guaranteed to find love. But hold on, let me clarify that, because it changed since then. But um, match guaranteed to um, but yeah, that was a slogan. You know, hey, we guarantee. Um, uh, you'll go and find love. Just to discover your perfect match. You know, that. I discovered my perfect match. Nope. No, I was lied to. I was bullshitted. Yeah. So long. I went 1 year on Edge, and sent probably 1,200 emails. Sent a lot of emails, and a lot of rejects. Well, it's funny that some actors, some musicians will keep their rejection notes. I think one writer, I can't really think of right at the time, has a book of rejection letters, and just keeps them, you know. But I kept mine. I kept some of them. I can remember right offhand. In this couple of years of doing this, it was, hey, you're a little bit far. You're a little bit too young. It doesn't seem the right match. Yada yada yada. So, in the meantime, I did had a 1 day. Then a year and a half later, another day. And actually, I was on and off in an OkCupid at the time. And it's like, alright. These, a lot of bad dates. The one day was at Chili. I think it was at Chili's or what was Red Robin's. It was at Red Robin's. It was in October because I remember Cleveland and Texas was playing in the World Series playoffs, and she brought two cell phones. One was a work phone, and one was a personal phone. Joe bought good flowers for this chick. I bought flowers. Nobody brings you flowers anymore. So I bought flowers. Wasn't much, but it's the fucking counts, right? Hey, I'm romantic. See, I brought you flowers for the first day. I was better off talking to this wall. I have better conversations with this wall than that girl. Well, tell you that. Then, another year and a half goes by. And there was the gluten girl, Kate. Boy, she got on the horn and let everybody know I ruined her night, ruined some good makeup because I asked her out. She ruined some good makeup. I think there was somebody else in between. But as you can tell, desperate. In the meantime, I was like, yeah. But after a while, I guess really wanting back to You know, after a while, you just become numb. You know, you're not dating the person you really want to date, and they're they're now in a heavily in a relationship, and it's like, I thought I gave this thing 3 years. It's 2015. Well, I told myself New Year's Eve, 2014. This was the year you're going to win her back. Wrong again. Broke an ankle, or technically rolled an ankle. Um, 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 Doing all this rehab. Your favorite football team is threatening to move back to the West Coast. Boy, this is awesome, right? You're alone. You're losing your football team. The girl of your dreams is dating somebody awesome, right? Well, about a couple weeks after I got back on my feet again, read in the newspaper the happening nuptials of the couple. Well, for a week, I was sad. I mean, sad. I mean, Ozzy and Hulk Hogan died this week. This was worse. This is Joe at 29. Couldn't handle fucking life right now. Couldn't go to anyone. Talk about my problems without saying, hey, get over it, guy. Well, for the next couple months, still off and on, doing the online dating. Well, that pesky 2016 election rolled its head, and well, I got off that Match.com train for a while. Well, also I wasn't invited to the wedding. Probably for the best, because I was. If I wasn't going to, what was the best time to tell her? Right at the wedding, and just ruin it. Go out in fashion. Go out in style. But it was like, but at the same time, she never told me she was really engaged. I had to find out in the newspaper. Some friend. Well. So, I really did try to get over it. But kind of sucks when it's easy to say, get over it, walk it off, get over it. Shit happens, deal with it. Pain, no gain. Life, just deal with it. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. I lost my football team. I lost the girl of my dreams. 2016 sucked, at least. Yeah. The two things I really loved in life, gone. Ugh. With no help. Although when I told my mother about this, it was, I would say she embraced me and say, having on the head was going to be okay, but yeah. But no. He goes, so you're not getting that promotion at work? Hey, I'm sorry. No, that's literally what the tone. Hey, I'm sorry. Well. Meanwhile, yeah. It was like, yeah, then walk the oh gosh, how did Dante put in the Inferno? Um, Walked around lost, not really caring, but I think I went on a date. I may not. I don't know, but yeah. Eventually, I told spelt the beans. I went back on Match.com. She was on Match.com. Fair game. And the worst thing about spilling your heart out to somebody, besides ruining a friendship, ruining at the time knowing somebody for 15 years, and um, ruining a friendship. Even though the last time I saw her was Christmas Eve of 2012, and the worst thing ever. So if I ever had a child, I would tell him or her, don't ever ghost for somebody, especially after you gave them, after they gave you a letter spilling your guts out, at 35, or 34. But yeah, I like to think in the years I've grown, I've become a little wiser. Um, but I guess in this essay I'm saying, I got hooked really bad. I spent there's granted there was some jobs that I had a lot of time on my hands to think. A lot of were thinking of her. She was probably out whoring around and wasn't thinking of me. And yeah, I was it was bad. That I was hooked really really bad. I mean, the withdrawal within there was I didn't realize until a year and it was like 2022 around February. Let's make a little playlist. Put out little songs I'll put out in the world, hoping she would find it. This desperate get it, and nope, no course. But I have to say, I do think it's an awesome playlist. But in this long essay of mine, I'd say I was. I'd say I am a love addict. That's never going to go away. But eventually, I had a little couple week fling. Oh, yeah, a fling. But that is a whole another rigmarole. But they say 10,000 hours of doing something you become a master of. Well, there's two things I become a master of. That, and I thought about her a lot. She was my muse. She was my thoughts. Some nights in the morning, when I go into work, I look at the stars. She was in my thoughts at the time. But yeah, and I guess I really want to just wrap this up as much as I can because I'm pushing an hour or close to an hour at least. I know recently I posted on Facebook, hey, wow, 19 years since this last. I posted my tick stuff. How my tick stuff? Um, you know, I posted, wow, 19 years since his last concert. Didn't put Ann's name, mention Ann's name at all. Did not. But also, every time when the 7th of July comes around, I always do post that date. I used to put, man, it was the greatest night of my life with this beautiful woman. Is one thing about her. She always just kept me out arms reached. It was like a I remember going to see some movie at the time. The first Wonder Woman movie came out. This was like 10 years ago, and I remember posting a selfie, and she would heart it. That is kind of like the adrenaline rush of likes and wondering if she's going to text or whatever. But she always, in her relationship with her current spouse, kept me not even at arm's reach, more like the analogy of the if somebody was a a party girl in their early 20s, woo, party all, doing this and that, whoa, wore a leather jacket and rode on motorcycles, did all this crazy things with different people, and then she becomes a Stepford wife. Be like, never did it. She mentioned once, this is the second time I got blocked by her. She was posted like, boy, I wish I can dance like that. I was like, hey, didn't you do that one night we went to the shoe show? Blocked. Oops, I did it again. Yeah, I called her on. She didn't like me calling her shit. That right there. But really, the last time she made contact about 5 years ago, she wanted $5. She wanted $5 for Cash App or something like that. I was like, hell no. Joe grew a pair while you're hoity-toity. So, no, I was like, no. She goes, oh, come on, text me your number, and it's like, I bit the bait. I threw the line in C. So, what are you doing? Hey, here's my number. Why are you doing this? She goes, oh, my friends are doing it. Well, and that was the last time I spoke to her until I blurted everything out. Yeah. Wow, I can't believe I almost did an hour on this. On this topic, and it's like, I guess we really got have to say that love is somehow a legal drug, and it's as addicting as alcohol, cigarettes, gaming, and there's no real regulation of it. But but it's, I guess, rounding home. It sucks when you just not loved, when you hold up for years and years and years of hope. It's kind of like being on a desert island or stranded on a planet with two suns, and you know you're going to get rescued. You're going to get rescued one day, and you quietly send out signal SOS, SOS. But when you finally shot that one big message of, hey, I'm here, look at me. And no message was returned. And you become permanently stranded on the island or planet, or you pick up by your bootstraps, say, hey, I can figure out a way to get off this island. I can figure out a way to get off this planet. It's not over. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Nope. Come on. Tough get going. What, you know. But I have to say, everything's a one day at a time. Not really thinking of it went in the last several months. I really hard thought, every time I thought about her, just go do something else. It's like find a cigarette, have a carrot, yada yada. But yeah, trust me, it will get better, and yeah, I guess that's really all I'd say. And you know, everything will be better. Everything will be okay. So, oh, I'm about to run out of battery. Besides the little minor interruption, almost did an hour. So I guess I want to talk to you next about Ozzy and the Hulkster. Until then, you play something pretty for Stella. Love you.